Hello and welcome to part 2 of this WCS tutorial. In the previous video, we talked about rotating the vise and the part into the proper plane. And in this video, we're going to work on placing the part in the work fixture, setting our Z level, and we're going to start beginning to create some work coordinate system planes for use in our manufacturing process. So as I stated in the previous video, we have 3 surfaces to machine, and we are starting with the top of the workpiece, which in this case is the part that has the bore in the center of the surface here. So what we need to do right now is place the part in the work holding fixture or the vise so that it accurately represents what it will look like in the machine. So what we're going to do is we're going to pretend that we're setting up a stop on the vise or either on the table or on the vise. And I want my bottom left-hand corner of the part to be in line with the bottom left-hand corner of the fixed vise over here. Okay. The way we're going to do that is we're going to use translate again, and we're going to use our from and to command that we were already using in part 1. I'm going to select our part. I'm going to go ahead and end the selection. And now I'm going to use from and to basically move the lower left-hand corner of our part over to the lower left-hand corner or the 0, 0 point on the vise. Okay, this is only our first move. When I click OK, we're going to go ahead and see why. Right now the part is level, right, because we actually dropped the part right on top of the vise. So this front surface here is all level and straight. And we can't do that because we're going to be facing the top of the part, and we don't want to machine the top of the vise. We need to have clearance here. So the second move is going to be basically setting our Z level on the part. You'll notice that when I moved it, the colors changed and they both equal purple now. That's a quirk with MasterCAM that's been around forever. There is a command that is called clear colors. You can get to it by right-clicking, and the third button from the left, it's clear colors. If you click on that button, it basically resets your graphics screen and it brings your colors back in. Kind of an annoying thing, but that's just a quality of life thing that you're going to want to remember how to do that. So we're going to change our Z value. Let's say I want to have the part sticking outside of the vise a 1/2 inch. Okay, so I want a 1/2 inch clearance between the top of the vise and the top of the part. We can use translate for that also, but we're going to use a different kind of input. So I'm going to go to our right view just so I can see I'll get a clear picture of how this is moving when I go to input my directional value. I'm going to click on translate. I'm going to highlight the part. I'm going to hit end selection. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a delta move this time. Okay, I have a set value. I know what distance I want to move. And in this case, I want to move a 1/2 inch. Okay, so these moves are relative to the active plane that you're in. So right now you'll notice that this distance right here, if we click on this green button here, it's going to allow us to move at a set point here. It works the same way translate does. So if I come in here and type in 0.5 and hit enter, it's going to move in the up direction, okay, because that's the way that I had my mouse up. You can also put in negative numbers in this box, and what that does is that changes the direction that we're moving in, either positive or negative. Okay, so what that is a directional move. In our case, we do want to go up the 1/2 inch, and we're going to go ahead and hit OK, and you'll notice that the part has now moved in the Z. Okay, in the manufacturing process, you would have a set of parallels underneath here, and this would be a set distance. okay? So what we'd have here is we'd have an 1.25 inch parallel set underneath here that the part would be resting on. But in this case, we don't have that shown right now. So this is exactly how we would like the part to be set up in the machine, as far as the part being in the vise. The next thing that we have to do is create the work coordinate system, or the G54 point, where the machinist is going to touch off and basically create the datum where our 00 point is going to be on the machine. So this is a good reference point here. The initial top plane is good, but what we want to do is we want to create our own plane. Okay, we want to touch off on the part, and we want to create our own reference point for the machine. This is going to be a critical part of the learning process, how to create these planes and how to understand how they work. We're going to start by using our existing top plane, but what I want to point out to you right now is you'll notice that the top plane, the front plane, the back plane, these are all set at this point, and you can't change their origin. Okay, their origin is set in stone, and there's no way to modify them. Okay. When you create your own work coordinate systems, you're able to modify both the orientation as well as the position, the origin position. So that's why I like to create our own plane and not use the defaults. When at all possible, what I will do is I will copy an existing plane and duplicate it, because it's a little bit faster than doing it from scratch. So in this case, our top orientation is good, but we want to change the origin point so that it's resting on top of the part here, okay? So what we're going to do is I'm going to right-click on top. I'm going to hit duplicate, and you'll notice right away that our origin point is now non-static. We can modify this as needed, okay? So for our case, G54 is usually the first work coordinate system plane that is available in the machine, and these will run through numerically. So going forward, there'll be a G55, a G56, and so on and so forth. What we want to do right now is modify the origin so that our Z level, our 0 level for Z, is on top of the part, okay? The easiest way to do that, when you already have the geometry existing, is by clicking on the select a new origin point for the selected plane. We click on that cursor. I'm going to go ahead and snap up to this point, which from we did before, should be Z a 1/2 inch compared to the machine home. So when we click on this position, you'll see that the Z origin moves to 0.5 based off of this reference point. And now you'll see that our gnomon is now on top of the part, okay? I am going to go ahead and just write WCS for Op1, G54 in the notes down here, or Operation 10, I'm sorry. And from this point forward, what we need to do is make this our active plane. Okay, so right now top is still active. The WCS construction and tool planes are still located on this system here. What we're going to do is highlight the G54 that we just created, and I'm going to hit the equal sign, which means set your current WCS construction plane and tool plane to the origin to a selected plane there. So by doing that, you'll notice that all three of these options move down. I'm also going to move the graphics view down. You'll notice that when you click on the graphics view here, it basically sets your views up the way they're oriented in space. For what we're doing, again, we're always going to want to have all of these set up on the same plane. At this point, I'm going to hit my F9 key just to clean up my screen a little bit. I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to clear colors one more time. Okay? So what we have done right now is we've created our first operation setup. Okay? This is the very first setup for the tools that we're going to use. So this operation will be facing in a pocket. But what I like to do is I like to set up all the operations first before I do any machining. Okay? What we're going to do next is we're going to create a view sheet for Op10. Okay? What a view sheet is it's basically basically a way of saving your levels and planes so that you can switch between different operations without having to constantly turn these on and off, or without constantly having to change this plane. It'll make a little bit more sense once we have the other operations created. But for right now, what we're going to do is go on to view sheet number 1. I'm going to right click, and we're going to rename this view sheet to Op10, and we can hit enter. You'll notice right now that there is no icon. Okay, for this there's no icon on the left-hand side of Op10. What that means is it's not saved. Okay, we're still in flux. We have everything set up the way we want to, and this is the view that I want to be the default in the view sheet. So what I'm going to do now is right click, and I'm going to save a view sheet bookmark. When I do that, you'll notice that a flag pops in, and that's basically letting you know that this has been saved, and that in order to modify this in the future, we'd have to delete that view sheet or that bookmark and modify it. So what we're going to do next is we're going to bring in another piece of fixturing, another Kurt Vise, but this time we're going to orient it so that we're going to machine the bottom of the part. Okay, so this gets a little bit tricky. What we're going to do is we're going to leave the part static. Okay, at this point the part itself is set up in space, and we do not want to move it because all of our future WCS planes are going to be based off the part. Okay, at this point we're going to actually basically create 3 other Vise fixtures in different orientations to give us accurate visual representations of what it will actually look like in the machine. The way we're going to start doing that is by creating a new view sheet in anticipation for the operation 20. I'm going to right click, I'm going to do a new view sheet, and I'm just going to create Op20. We're not going to do anything with it for now after this. I just want to create one for Op20, and I'll hit the enter key and let that save. I'm going to make it active, and now I'm going to prepare my next set of levels for the next Vise that we're going to be using. So I actually want to make one change here. The part file here is going to be used for all the operations, not just Op10. So I want to name this part file for now without a specific operation called out. What we are going to do is create a new level for an Op20 Kurt Vise. One thing we'd like to do is I'm going to create a kind of a buffer layer in between, and the way we do that is by creating a new level and just doing an asterisk in the name so that we can separate out some of this other stuff here. And I may actually move the way this looks later on, but for now we're not going to worry about it. So here's my separation layer. My next level will be 15, and this one will be the Op20 Kurt Vise. Okay. Now, rather than merge the file back in again, what we'll do is we're just going to copy the Vise and kind of bring it out to the left-hand side or the right-hand side in space, and then rotate it so that we're actually going to be 180 degrees, and then we're going to be holding onto this surface next. So what we're going to do to copy is we can use the same translate command, but in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to highlight. I'm sorry, I had the part selected. We're going to select the Vise pieces, the 2 pieces here, and the selection. We're going to copy it this time. I'm going to use from and to, but since I'm just trying to copy the part over, I'm not really going to worry about what I'm clicking on. I'm just going to click in space, give it a shifted distance, hit OK, and here's our copy. Okay. Again, I'm going to clear colors, and what we'll do now is we'll highlight the second Vise, and we'll change levels. And this will be it for this video here, and we will continue on in WCS part number 3. Thank you.